And I was actually slicing my brisket from my turn-in box, and it was tighter than I wanted. And I started dropping swear words, and I actually took a slice of brisket and threw it up against the wall. And my mom, she totally mommed the hell out of me. She's, Richard, you stop that. And I put the freaking brisket box together and I turned it in, and some of the dudes next to us were like, how was your cook today, Ferg? And I was like, probably my worst turn-ins ever. And I think one of them said, congrats on your GC, because that's usually how it goes. And that's how it went. So I think I GC'd that day, and getting basted RGC'd that day.
Listen, learn, get inspired. I'm Tavis Bryant, and this is BBQ Therapy. Like, subscribe, and follow to help grow the barbecue therapy community. Also, visit my website at www.bbqtherapypodcast.com.
Bring on down, barbecue, your barbecue on. Get your barbecue on. Get your barbecue on.
Welcome to the BBQ Therapy Podcast. My name is Tavis Bryant, and today we got a guy who just didn't enter the barbecue world. He helped dominate it, but what really defines him now is not just his trophies, it's his teaching, mentoring, and building community. He's a retired educator and wrestling coach turned world champion pitmaster turned global barbecue instructor. Please welcome Richard Fergola of Fergolicious BBQ. Welcome to the show. I got one rule: make yourself at home, speak freely.
I love it, man. Thanks for that great introduction. I appreciate it.
All right, no problem. All right, I always start at the beginning. So, where were you born, and how was the food scene for you growing up in your family, as well as the barbecue scene in your family growing up?
I was born and raised in Topeka, Kansas, and the barbecue influence in my life and my family was pretty much zero. I had a lot of Italian influence. My grandmother, my grandpa, and my dad's parents, they were heavy into cooking, though. My grandma made some killer dishes, but it was a lot of Italian dishes, a lot of comfort food, those kind of things. But we were a pretty simple family. We were middle class, if you will. Mm-hmm. Goulash and spaghetti and meat and potatoes and things like that. And so not a lot of barbecue influence. And I did go to Kansas City a lot, but we just didn't go eat barbecue a lot. We went to a lot of other places that my dad liked. I didn't really get any barbecue influence until I started watching the TV show BBQ Pitmasters. That'll be another question you'll ask me later. We'll save that for that.
All right. So along your journey, before you started coaching, did you wrestle yourself, or did you just get into it afterwards?
No, I was a wrestler. I started in the 7th grade. I went out for basketball. I was really small when I was that age, and I went out for basketball and got cut. And I was getting on the activity bus to go home, bummed about it. And another kid my same age, wrestling practice had already started, but they were a couple days in or whatever. And he's like, man, you should come out for wrestling. Now, I know why he wanted me to come out for wrestling. He wasn't a fan of mine, or I was somebody he could pick on because I was little. But so I went home to my parents and I was like, hey, obviously I'm not cut out for basketball. I'm going to try this wrestling thing. And my dad and I would always watch All-Star Wrestling, and he'd take me to those on Tuesday nights, and Sunday mornings we'd watch it on TV, and he'd throw me up against the wall and clothesline me, and my mom's making breakfast. So I went out for wrestling, man, and the rest was history. I excelled. I learned extremely fast and ended up being a pretty highly decorated high school wrestler, state runner-up in Class 6A in Kansas. Ended up going to college to wrestle, and then ended up becoming a coach myself. And I was a teacher, high school special education teacher for 21 years. I was an administrator, and I coached wrestling for 18 years, 8 of those years at the college level, won a national championship in 2006 as a college coach, got to help coach the Olympic team in 2004. Yeah, wrestling was a big part of my life. And there towards the end, I always knew that I would leave the sport maybe at some point, but something was going to have to tell me to do it. And I just got to the point where it was like my kids were little, but still they were growing up fast. And I was missing a lot of that stuff, because when you're a college coach, you're recruiting a lot. And so you're gone on the road, kind of like barbecue. Yeah. And so I was like, I think I'm done. When I didn't feel like going to practice anymore, that's when you call it quits. And so gave up coaching. And then I had about a year there where I just was a teacher and came home after school, just like a normal day. And started watching BBQ Pitmasters and was like, and I like cooking on the grill, a gas grill, but started watching BBQ Pitmasters, and then I saw this whole other world in front of me.
So let's take it back to the wrestling part, dude. So what does it take to be a top-notch wrestler? What attributes? Because most people think, oh, if you're strong, you can probably take anybody.
Oh, that's a great point. I mentioned earlier that I was small. So like my senior year when I was in the state finals, I wrestled 119. But all through high school, I was like 98, 112, 119. So I was a little guy, but I was big for my weight class. So at 119, I was cutting from like 135. And you're right. You don't have to be. In my opinion, wrestling is all about technique. If you have the skills and you have the technique, that's going to beat strength almost any day. Now, when you add in strength and speed and heart and toughness, then you're going to be a pretty badass dude. Mine was all through hard work ethic, just training and trying to defy the odds all the time. Pretty much my whole life. That's been my whole life.
So with the teaching and coaching, that's a long time, because I know you're at high school students and stuff like that. How tough was that?
Well, as a high school head coach and a teacher, that was nice. That was what I always wanted to do. That's what I went to college to do. And I got degrees in special education, physical education. I've got 2 bachelors. I have 2 masters in educational administration, and I got half a doctorate in educational administration. It was always about education for me. And the coaching side was that kid in me that wanted to help impact all kids, but like other kids that were like me growing up that had that inside of them, but you have to find it sometimes. If I would have never been put in the situations I was put in, wrestling may have never become a part of my life. But I soon realized that I was more cut out to be a college coach, because when you're a college coach, you don't have to deal with the parents as much or at all, because you're giving them a scholarship to come wrestle for you, and you can always recruit somebody else. But I was more suited for college because back then I'm pretty aggressive. I'm pretty fired up. I'm pretty passionate about what I do. And at the college level, I could let that part of me shine a little bit more. At the high school level, you got administrators and principals and people that are going to be like, you need to calm down. It's like wrestling's a tough sport. And I want my wrestlers to see that enthusiasm in me, because I want that out of them. So at the college level, I got to recruit athletes that fit that mold. And that was cool, because it was like picking teams for kickball at recess. But I was pretty good at that. I was pretty good at recruiting.
So around the time because I used to love wrestling back in the 90s. So did you run across Brock Lesnar, Kurt Angle, and folks like Shelton?
Oh yeah, Kurt Angle was a little older, but Brock, I actually sat in the opposite corner and coached one of my kids against Brock several times when he was at Minnesota. But who was the last person you mentioned?
Shelton Benjamin. I think he went to Minnesota also. He might have.
That name doesn't ring a bell to me, but Brock for sure. Yeah, I've coached against Brock. I recruited John Jones out of high school.
Oh, wow.
I was in Cleveland, Ohio at high school senior nationals when he was wrestling there and was being recruited. And I was right there on the side of the mat for every one of his matches, talking to him. And wow. He ended up going to a different JUCO. But Ben Henderson was a 2-time All-American for me. He ended up being a UFC lightweight champ. When he wrestled for me, he was on my national championship team. Yeah, I had a lot of connections with those people.
Oh, cool. I just wanted to know.
Yeah.
All right. So you said, I thought your answer was going to be different about BBQ Pitmasters since you were on there, but I guess since you watch BBQ Pitmasters, what made you attempt to get out there just saying, hey, I think I could do that? Or was just the atmosphere that you saw on TV, or what?
You mean the show or just barbecue in general?
BBQ Pitmaster, when you saw the show.
Yeah. I had watched all the seasons of the show, and I thought, wow, this is really cool. And it was making me want to go out to more. I went out to a couple barbecue contests and walked around and saw all these big cookers. And I'm like, man, this is freaking awesome. And I just thought it was something looked like it's really fun and something I could do. And as far as being on the show, I when I was going from being a teacher to an administrator, my colleagues they bought me a ticket to become a CBJ for KCBS, to become a certified barbecue judge.
Oh, wow.
And so I went and took the CBJ class. I think that was in like 2011, and became a certified judge. And then I went and judged about 5 contests. I judged first before I ever cooked.
Oh.
And so I judged about 5 contests to see what it looked like behind the curtain, and then cooked my first contest in 2012, I believe, in my hometown of Topeka. And my eyes were opened up. I was like, man, this is the coolest freaking thing ever. And then watching Pitmasters, they were sending out audition videos for it. And I was like, whoa, we should try this. And my teammate at the time and I filmed a video in my garage on my phone. and mind you, this is in 2014. I edited it on my laptop and sent the video in, and got the phone call on New Year's Eve that year that said, you've been selected, and can you be in Tampa, Florida in 3 weeks?
Wow.
So, and then after that, after Pitmasters, the floodgates opened. I think that opened up my entire career.
What were you cooking on back then when you started?
Was cooking on, when we were on that show, the pit we were cooking on was a Rebel gravity feed made by Jeff Ripplemeyer out of St. Louis area. Fully insulated gravity feed pit, really nice smokers, but that's what we competed on the show on. So we did that for a couple of years, and then from that pit I moved to a Myron Mixon gravity feed.
Okay. Because that was the beginning of the drum smoker boom around 2012.
Yeah. Nope, I wasn't. I got drums now, but I was all gravity feed. I liked the functionality of it. I liked the water cooker portion of it. I liked the ease of it. It was almost like the ease of a pellet grill, but still cooking on a stick burner.
Okay. And did you start off with a trailer, or did you just load up in the truck and go?
Started out like that in a truck when we were cooking on an offset or whatever. And then when we went to the gravity feed, we got a little 6x12 trailer and put power in it and like tables and stuff like that, and had that for a couple years. And then from there went to our first porch trailer.
Okay. And weren't you the one that was cooking with your mom, or was it somebody else?
Oh, my mom's been to a ton of contests with me.
Okay. How's that dynamic in there with your mom?
So I lost my dad to cancer in 2016. He was 67, and it was unexpected. But after he passed away, my mom was just, here's a 65-year-old woman that's husband's gone of 50 years. And I was like, I'm just going to start taking my mom with me on these trips, and she can travel with me. And her biggest job is she would do all my dishes and make sure I had all my utensils and everything I needed as I needed them. And she was just always right there to give me a lending hand. Like, she didn't cook or anything, but she's just always right there to help me. And she went to a lot of places. She became very popular, very well known as Mama Ferg. My friends would like walk right past me and give my mom a hug and didn't even care about me anymore.
That'd be cool.
Yeah.
Riding with you.
Yeah, it was awesome. And I remember the first contest she was with me when I won a GC, and she was there present. That was pretty freaking awesome, because it was actually in Sheridan, Arkansas. And first year I was chasing points, and it was in October. And there was a contest right here in Kansas City, but all the teams there are all teams that I cooked against all the time. You see them all the time. And I want to cook against the best all over the country. And so I drove 7 hours down to Arkansas, and I was actually slicing my brisket from my turn-in box, and it was tighter than I wanted. And I started dropping swear words, and I actually took a slice of brisket and threw it up against the wall. And my mom, she totally mommed the hell out of me. She was like, Richard, you stop that. And I put the freaking brisket box together and I turned it in, and some of the dudes next to us were like, how was your cook today, Ferg? And I was like, probably my worst turn-ins ever. And I think one of them said, congrats on your GC, because that's usually how it goes. And that's how it went. So I think I GC'd that day, and getting basted RGC'd that day. But that was her first time seeing her son GC a contest in person. So she's been to a few more of them.
That's cool. So you ain't got to call afterwards and tell her, because she's already there, and you got the support system right there, and someone to get your head back in the game when you're freaking out. And hey,
yeah, she's done that plenty of times.
All right. Do you remember your first contest? How did that go as far as good things and bad things when you cooked your very first contest?
Oh, it was terrible. It was smoke on the water in Topeka, Kansas, and it was mid-October, and it was rain. The contest still exists today. Same location. I've cooked it the last 3 years. It was pouring rain, pouring rain. We've got 3 10x10s. We've got like a reverse flow offset stick burner. We've got an offset that we bought at Home Depot or something.
Mhm.
We don't know what we're doing, right? There's a people's choice. There's a sauce contest. We've got 37 people on our team.
Ooh.
That's an exaggeration, and we're drinking beer and we're just like, this is cool. We get to sit out by the lake and drink beer and it's raining. It was madness. I think we got second in people's choice, second in sauce, and we got third place in brisket, which I assure you, from today's standards, that brisket would get last. I think there were 50 teams and we got 19th out of 50. And when somebody handed me that check for that third place brisket, I was like, whoa. And they called my name and I didn't even know it. I didn't even hear it. Somebody just goes, that was you, Ferg. That was you guys. I'm like, oh, okay. And this is my first time, so I don't know what I'm doing, man. But yeah, I was hooked after that, but didn't do a lot of comps those first 2 years, and then decided I need to make it happen.
Okay. Let's talk about the KCBS World Invitational. On that day, was everything lined up for you to win, or was there any mistakes that happened, or did you have a feeling you had a good chance to take it?
Let's see, that was 2021. So I had a few 3 or 4 years in a row there that were good runs. 2017 was first year chasing points, finished 9th overall and was in the top 25 of every category. By 2021, had some GCs and RGCs racked up, and 2020, I didn't cook all of 2020 because of COVID and other reasons, but I did cook the KCBS World Invitational that year in 2020, and I actually thought I won it there. I got no call in chicken, no call in ribs. I got second in pork with a perfect 180, and then I went fifth in brisket. And just based on everybody else's calls, people were walking up to me like, Ferg, you just won this. You won this. And I'm like telling them to all get away from me. I'm like, get away from me. Don't talk to me. Until I hear my name called, I haven't won shit. You know what I mean? That's how I roll. And just as I expected, they killed me in ribs. And I think I finished like 20th or something like that year. So the next year, the 2021 in Shawnee, Oklahoma, yeah, you get to a point in your barbecue career where you cook so much that it's just like second nature. You roll in, you know your plan, and you run your plan. And I teach that in my comp classes all the time. And I had great cook, did the open first, finished 8th overall, got a rib call, got 8th overall in the open. And I think I won the wild child in the open too. So I already had a cool G in my pocket for winning the wild child. So I was like, all right. And then the year that was, the way the format was is they had a day off in between. So we had a day off between the open and the invitational. So that Saturday I got to just chill for a little bit. I didn't have to wake up and do anything. And so then I got prepped for the invitational and I had great turn-ins. And again, went to the awards and I got 2 calls, 4th in ribs and 4th in pork. And based on everybody else's calls, like I thought Travis Clark won it because he had 3 calls. He had a 1st, 5th, and 10th. Oh, wow. And I was like, he's in. And several of my other friends had several calls, but I had the 2 top 5 calls. And when they called Travis Clark for 3rd, I was like, yeah, okay, maybe I'm there, but no, everybody was leaving me alone. Like nobody, I had a table full of people. I had all friends around me. And then they called, I can't say their names right now, that RGC'd. They're out of Alabama, but they RGC'd. And I'll be honest with you, I could not say to myself, I won. There was 98 teams in that contest. So you just don't know. And when Emily called me for grand champion, I lost it. So that's pretty awesome. It's pretty awesome.
Okay. That sounds good. Because most of the time when you hear a story that people crowd around them, you're the first story I heard that you didn't win when people crowd around.
Yeah, they were crowding around me the year before, and I didn't win. And then the next year, I think it was just the way it was set up. We were in Shawnee, Oklahoma. We were in a big arena, so everybody was sitting at tables. Whereas the year before, we were all outside. It was at Prairie Van Casino, And we were all sitting at tables, so nobody was really getting up. And I had a lot of friends around me, and I was videoing the whole thing. I was live on Facebook when I did it. And but as soon as she called my name, it was, yeah, I got mobbed. I got mobbed. Yeah, that was a great feeling that day.
Definitely. It's definitely good to have one under your belt.
Oh yeah.
You can have it on your resume.
Yeah.
All right, let's get into your products. You got 6 rubs that you crafted over the years. What drove you to start making your own seasoning? Was it just something you did, or you seen something that was lacking out there that you wanted to make your own? What made you get into that?
I think it was probably being on BBQ Pitmasters. My teammate at the time, we were talking about it. And when we got selected to be on Pitmasters, we were really using Cosmos products a lot at that time because we were just in the beginning stages of doing competitions. But I think right before we went on the show, we started thinking, I go, first of all, we need to redo our logo because this is going to be on national television. So when the show comes out, whatever our logo is going to be, everybody's going to see that. And so I just have 2 t-shirts made up with the new logo on it for the show. And then we were talking about a rub, and we couldn't do it in time, and you couldn't show any brands on that show. So they call it Greeking. So they made us Greek everything we were using, which is putting tape over the brand. So we just took some shaker bottles and just put like a Fergolicious sticker on it. It had Cosmos rubs in it. And that's where, because we couldn't make ours at the time. But what I was trying to do was, since we can't show brands anyways, and we can't talk about brands on that show, at least this way it gave a little bit of a lead in that there was going to be a Fergolicious rub. And the first one came out like 6 months after that show aired, which is now called the all-purpose rub. It was originally called Love Rub when it came out. But so that's how we went about that. And then they just started popping off.
Okay. If you want, you can go through each one and talk about each one that you have.
Yeah. So that one I just talked about, that's called the all-purpose. So that was the first rub ever. It's exactly what it is. You can put it on whatever you want. I remember when we tested it, me and my teammate at the time, we tested on everything: pork, ribs, beef, chicken, salmon, you name it. We were testing it on. It was great on everything. And that one came out in 2015. And at the time, I remember doing Chad Ward's podcast down in Florida. And he said that he made a comment on the show. He goes, "This rub has replaced salt and pepper." And everybody in Florida was using it. And so it's still the exact same rub today. It's a fantastic rub, using at home on anything. And then the one that followed that up was the sweet rub. Mm-hmm. And that was originally supposed to be like a pecan rub, but a co-packer had said that we couldn't do pecan because they were a nut-free facility, allergen-free. I later found out that that was not the case, but it came out the way it came out, and it's got some peach notes to it and some honey. It's my main competition rub. I use it on my chicken. I use it on my ribs. I use it on my pork. Any award that I've won in those 3 categories has been that rub's involved. It's super legit. It's got some savoriness to it. Fantastic color. Yeah, the sweet rub it's pretty badass. The rub that came after that is the honey habanero. It's got a really sweet front with a little kick on the back. It's very similar to the sweet rub, but instead of the peach, it's got the habanero in it, and it's got a little bit different color base to it. But nowadays, I use it on brisket. Like, I'll use it on steak. I'll use it on beef. I sprinkle it on my pizza. I put it on my pasta. Like, anything that you want a little kick on, it's got that sweet heat. It's like sweet heat done. It's that perfect balance of that. It's becoming more and more popular right now. The rub after that is my buttery garlic. Mm-hmm. It's a salt, pepper, garlic, butter, and citrus. I use this on my ribs. I use it on my brisket. I use it on my pork. It's no other SPG that's out there. It's really heavy on the butter side, and that citrus really balances out really well. You can use it on whatever you want, but when you put it on beef, it really shines. Probably my most popular rub. And then came the apple cherry. And the way I developed that one, it was like all these people got apple rubs, they got cherry rubs, but I wanted to give them something with both in it. And it's like sweet savory. Also fantastic color. It kills it on pork. I've even sprinkled it on vanilla ice cream.
Okay.
And then the last one is my butter pecan. And it's exactly what it sounds like. It's I won my first, that KCBS World Championship. I won that using that rub, and it wasn't even out yet. That's what I was using on my ribs and my pork. And its flavor, its color, its aroma is, in my opinion, unmatched. It's legit.
Okay.
And then I got two sauces coming out.
Just about to ask.
Yep.
Yeah, the apple chipotle and sweet and smoky. You can talk about those also.
Yeah, so apple chipotle there's a lot of similar sauces out there. Like I remember using a Cosmos apple chipotle. There's a Head Country apple habanero. There's the apple habanero glazes, all of these different flavors. And this is my version of that with some of all the good put into that sauce. It's pretty phenomenal. I'll use that in my chicken. I'll use it in my pork. I'll use it in my ribs. And the sweet and smoky sauce is probably the one I'm most excited about. In competition barbecue, I do a thing called the rib dunk. And so after I slice my ribs and I'm getting ready to box them, I've already sauced them, but I have this rib dunk that's like scalding hot. And then I take each rib and I dunk it in that, and it has like a perfect sheen and it's a phenomenal flavor. And my sweet and smoky is my rib dunk in one bottle.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. It's fire.
Okay.
Yeah.
So when you develop your products, do you make them comp ready versus backyard ready, or do you just make it universal that it'll work on both areas?
I say my products are competition tested and backyard approved, man. You can use it wherever you want. If you're at home and you want to have a killer sauce for your brisket or a killer sauce for your pork, I got you. If you want to go out and try to win a contest with them too, you can do the same thing. I've never been a competition focused person when developing my products. There's way more backyard cooks out there than there are comp cooks. I really try to focus on putting out products that anybody can use, whether they want to win in a contest or win in their cul-de-sac.
Okay. And what's the story behind your name change on the labels and stuff?
Oh, yeah. So my nickname's been Fergie since I was like 10 years old. My high school wrestling coach gave me that, and I've just been called that forever. There's obviously another person out there who's called Fergie. And when I developed the team name Fergolicious, obviously that's my name, but it wasn't until probably 5 or 6 years ago, it was before COVID. I went to trademark Fergolicious and I got denied by Stacey Ferguson. And even though she spells it differently, she spells it with an A because she's Ferguson. I know that's one letter difference, but then the attorneys went back and they got more specific. They were like, he's in barbecue products and competition barbecue. You're a singer and you do perfume and shoes and that kind of stuff. And they denied me again, saying that it's not abnormal for a person like her to possibly open a restaurant later in her career or whatever. So I got denied. However, I continued at Fergolicious. And then my co-packer, Old World, approached me and said, hey, I think we need to do a rebrand. Going into Home Depot only accepts trademarked products. So that was a big one. And we just needed to do a refresh and make the labels a little bit more consumer friendly and a little bit more straightforward and simple. And so they wanted me to get rid of Fergolicious altogether. And I'm like, I can't do that. That's how long it's taken me to build that name up. So we compromised and I said, I'm going to keep my team as Fergolicious and my brand as Richard Fergola Barbecue. And I went with my name just because I couldn't think of anything else that was cool. And I figured it might as well just be me. So I took a page from Heath Rouse's book. I talked with him many times, and he was Victory Lane before he made his switch, and he just went to his name, and that's what I did.
Okay.
And it's been a great move too. It was a great move to do it. So it's been very successful since I made that switch.
All right. Let's talk about the teaching. You teach a lot more than I see you compete. What made you transition into teaching more versus competitions?
Like I said earlier, I've been teaching barbecue classes since 2015, but I went on this stretch where, man, I just love to compete. I still do. I still love to compete, but barbecue competitions cost a lot of money. And a lot of times you don't make that money back. or you break even if you're lucky. And classes have always been like a second job for me previously. And then for not the last 2 years, but 2 years up until this last year, I was working for Proud Souls Barbecue and Provisions here in Kansas City. And when they closed, I got a crossroads. I could try to find another brand or somebody to work with and work for, or I could just go full-time me. And I chose me. And that's why I'm not competing as much right now. And I'm doing more of my classes, and I'm attending the Ace Hardware shows and the Do It Best True Value shows. I'm doing all the things that are going to build and support my brand. And I've done 250 plus contests. I don't need to do that as much anymore. And this is my business, my full-time business. If you're out there competing and just throwing money out the window all the time at contests, you're not building your brand.
Yeah, that's definitely true. And
yeah,
you've already made a name for yourself. So now you're using it to further your new venture, and it's working out.
Exactly. So yeah, that's when I was competing. I was trying to build up my resume and my accolades and credentials so that but my products have been out for 11 years, but now really pushing what I've accomplished in the barbecue world behind those products even more, and my teaching and those kind of things. When people are deciding, hey, whose class do I want to take? I want them to be able to look at what I've done and be like, yeah, we want to come learn from this person.
Because if I take a class from you, I'm familiar with you, so I know to go get your product, as well as, hey, try this guy's product and stuff like that. But
absolutely,
a lot of people think people automatically know them. It's a very barbecue makes up a small percentage, and people don't. You know how many people don't know Heath Rouse or Blues Hog and all that stuff. And what you're doing is you're getting out and do backyard classes, you're doing comp classes and stuff, and people getting more familiar and spreading the word of, hey, you want to take a class, take this guy's class. Or
right.
You want to take a product, taste his product and stuff like that, and it keeps spreading. And this one person tell 2 people, these 2 people tell 4 people, and they keep going from there. Instead of people just thinking automatically because I won a trophy, people gonna buy my product. It doesn't work like that. I'm sorry.
No, it doesn't. It doesn't. And you don't just win once and you become an expert in barbecue. It happens over time and failure. I've failed. I've lost more than I've won. You know what I mean? But and I think that's a big deal to make sure you say that. I've done almost 250 contests, but I think I've only won like one and reserved probably about 40 or 45 of those. So I've lost way more than I've won. But when you develop a winning recipe and a consistency, I think the one thing I've always believed about comp barbecue is it's not just about the recipes and the flavors and all that kind of stuff. It's about being a consistent cook and doing the same thing over and over again every weekend and sticking to that and understanding what tenderness is. And when you can accomplish those kind of things, that's when you become a good competition cook.
Throughout your ventures of teaching, what are some of the countries that you visited teaching classes?
So let me see if I get these numbers right. So I've taught classes now on four different continents in 5 different countries. So I've done classes in the Netherlands, and I've taught classes in Costa Rica twice. I did a class in Panama. I did a class in Australia. I think that's 5. Yeah, that's 5. Yep. Okay. Costa Rica, Panama, the Netherlands, Australia, and Costa Rica.
Okay. And didn't you compete in some of the contests in Australia?
I did. I competed in a world championship there. It was a double, and I won day 1, the invitational. Yeah.
Okay. That was cool.
Oh, it was way cool, man. It was way cool. And what was even cooler was my good friend's LC barbecue from Texas got reserved. So it came down to 2 Americans at this world championship. And it was awesome. It was a great time. And I got 7th in the open the next day. So I feel like that was a good showing, considering you fly halfway around the world and you got to rely on the cookers that they have for you and the charcoal they have for you and the meat that they have for you. And you try to take as much as your sauces and rubs and injections and all that stuff with you, but you still got to adapt to the lay of the land that they're giving you. So.
Oh, wow. So what's the biggest difference between barbecue here and barbecue over there?
I'll tell you what, Australia's got a fantastic barbecue following and scene. The ABA, the Australian Barbecue Alliance, is growing exponentially. When I was at this contest, like the people were just so awesome. They were very welcoming and supportive and funny. I think for about a week after I was there, I was talking like them, but we were there for 2 weeks. But no, it's great there, and they love American comp barbecue. And I think it's just they don't have the opportunities that we have here as far as comps all the time, everywhere. So they don't get the repetition that we do. And I think that's the same for judging and all those things. It was kind of like in Panama a few weeks ago. That was their first KCBS contest, and they were doing a judging class the day before. They weren't ready. They weren't ready for that. I'll say this out loud. It doesn't bother me to say it, but they weren't ready for my stuff. Like they just hadn't seen anything like it before. You know what I mean? I got 3 calls. I finished 7th overall, but I just don't think they were prepared for that or have seen it. And they had mixed judges. They had Panama and Costa Rica. I think Costa Rica is it has had a little bit more experience with KCBS because they have a couple there. But I think that's what you learn when you go to these other countries is it's not America where you got judges that are judging every weekend. So they're very experienced. Yeah.
That sounds cool. That's cool. So when somebody signs up for your class, what should they expect and what are you trying to teach them?
It depends on if they're signing up for a backyard class or a comp class. And I do way more backyard classes than I do comp classes. But when I'm doing a backyard class, my whole goal, and it doesn't matter what the protein is or what it is, I'm there to teach people maybe the little detail things that maybe they're missing to put out great barbecue in their backyard. Whether that's fire management, whether that's do you have the right cooker for you, making things easier for you. I'm about that in both my classes, comp or backyard, is stress-free. Barbecue is supposed to be for fun and relaxing and chilling out, not stressing out and losing your mind. You know what I mean? Even when I'm at a comp and I do a comp class, that's one of my biggest points I try to make is you need to cook enough to where you can get yourself in a position that when you show up at competition, you know what's coming next and you dictate the schedule and you make things happen the way you want them to happen. And that's when you can do that, you're more relaxed and you get to concentrate on cooking. Same thing at home. So when I'm doing a backyard class or I'm doing a comp class, the biggest things I'm trying to teach people is be relaxed, enjoy yourself, understand how to run a fire, understand that smoke is just like an ingredient like salt and pepper, treat it as such, all of those kind of things. And then when you get into the meats, that's a totally different story. But yeah, I think that's the biggest thing I want people to take away from a class is they feel like they're a better cook when they leave.
Yeah. And it's all about just knowing how to teach them and making people feel like they can do it and stuff like that and not talking to their head.
Yeah. It's about making sure they see it happen in front of them. Sometimes actually like tenderness, I brought up tenderness. A lot of people don't know what that feels like.
Exactly.
Competition cooks, I have comp people that will say to me in my class, "Oh, you're at a competition you were at, and we thought we turned in really good food, but the judges didn't think so." And I'll stop them and I'll be like, "What makes you think you turned in really good food?" And then they usually look at me with this puzzled look on their face. And they're like, "What do you mean?" I go, "You said you felt like you turned in good food." I said, "So what I want to know is, what does that mean? Like, why do you think it was good?" And usually that's where they get kind of baffled. And I said, that's what I'm talking about right there. Until you've cooked and cooked and cooked and cooked, you don't know what that is yet. You don't know what good is. You don't know what tender is. I was the same way. I didn't know either. I was just like a person in a dark room looking for the light switch. And until you can figure that out and know what that feels like and what that looks like, you are going to be that person in that dark room looking for the light switch. So that's one of the biggest things in a class that'll teach you is what that feels like. So sometimes you got to have come people up and actually get the knife and slice that brisket, slice that rib so you can feel what I feel. Probe it with your thermopen so you can feel what I feel. Because I can give you adjectives and describe it all day with words, but until you feel it and see it and touch it, you're not going to understand yet.
And I've taken 5 classes and I think only one person allowed us to come poke the brisket in all the classes I have. So that's one of the main things. Everybody say tender, but like most people don't know what tender
What does
is
that mean?
because
Yeah.
only very
Yeah.
few people that really cooked a lot know what actual tenderness is, and that's why people ain't winning like that because they don't know. They doing based on their own logic. Oh yeah, this is tender, but how do you know it's tender?
Yeah. Yeah. They're reading a book from some pellet grill company or something like that. And that's not a dig on pellet grills. I have Yoders in my house. But what I mean is there's literature out there that's given information that ain't true. Like people will come in and they'll say, Ferg, I'm having trouble getting my brisket tender. I'm like, what temperature are you timming it out at? They're like, oh, about 190. I'm like, bro, you're way off. You got a long ways to go, man. You got to get to like at least 205, man. Be pushing 210, depending on what kind of brisket you're cooking. That's the other thing too. Are you cooking a choice? Are you cooking a prime? Are you cooking a Wagyu? They're all different. And that's the education piece that I try to get through those classes, because the average cook at home does not know that.
Yeah, I didn't know really there were different grades of meat and all this other stuff before I got into barbecue. All you think is all the same.
Yep, exactly. Exactly.
So it's like you got to cook everything different based on the grade that it is. And
That's right.
It's it's a whole science to it as far as seasonings and sauces and all this other stuff where folks getting a $2 sauce versus spending a couple more dollars and get a real sauce that's actually made for the meat that you're cooking, as well as a seasoning that's made for the meat that you're cooking, instead of something that's mass produced and just
You're dead on. You're dead
everybody's
on.
an expert though.
Yep. Oh, trust me. Go on my Facebook page and read some of the comments I get in some of my videos. It's pretty insane.
Wow.
Yeah, I just had some today. It's crazy.
That's sad.
Telling me that I'm cooking ribs on a gateway drum the wrong way, and that a drum is for sissies, and I get stuff like that all the time. Yeah.
It's more than one way to cook, regardless of what you cook on. You can cook on an offset. If you don't know how to cook, regardless of what you cook on, it's going to be bad. And if you know how to use it.
Exactly right. And what I told this person in the comment, I said, bro, have you ever cooked on a drum? And he's like, no. I go, I'll cook on a drum, an offset, a pellet grill. I don't care what grill you put in front of me. I'm going to put out good barbecue. And I think that kind of got him a little mad, but this dude was ready to throw hands with me, like keyboard fight. It was entertaining. And I love it when they keep doing that, because it just gives me more views.
I tell people, everybody think they can grill until they run across somebody that can really grill. And you be like,
yeah,
because everybody shot to Buc-ee's. Everybody swear Buc-ee's is the best brisket ever. But I'm like, y'all have not had real brisket before.
Yeah, go to Burnt Bean in Seguin, Texas, or come up here to Kansas City and go to Chef Jay, or go to a lot of these Central Texas. Go to Terry Black's. Go to these guys. Pump out some excellent brisket.
Exactly. Burnt Bean itself is just
that
man gifted.
It's another level. Yeah,
exactly. All right, let's switch over to TV. We started talking. You was on BBQ Pitmasters. You were on Chop, Barbecue USA, and Barbecue Country. How did some of those opportunities come about? Did it just reach out to you, or did you have to audition for some of them?
You got to audition for all of them. After doing Pitmasters, when you do one show, your name's kind of in a pool now. And with Chopped, and I get casting emails all the time. And Chopped, they reached out and I filled out the app, and then they reached back out again. They're like, make an audition video. So I did. And I was a little hesitant about Chopped because it was Chopped Grill Masters, but it's always such a chefy show. And I got picked. I filmed it in Queens, New York, in a petting zoo. And I got chopped the first round. It's just the stuff they give you. It's insane. It was a great experience. I learned a lot from it. And then Barbecue USA was probably my most favorite show I've ever done. Michael Simon did such a great job of educating the viewers on what we were doing. And it was filmed at a barbecue contest. And I just happened to RGC that comp that day, and Slaps GC'd it. And we were two of the featured teams. So that turned out really well. And I was on another episode that same season. I think it was the last episode of Memphis in May. It was me, Luton Booty, and Sugarfire, and Al Fergoni, and I think we had some friends from Australia on the team that year too. And then Barbecue Country was because I'm a Royal Oak ambassador. So they brought four of the 12 pitmasters were Royal Oak ambassadors. We filmed that in Nashville and did that show. So yeah, they were all fun, all different experiences. But Barbecue USA is by far that was my favorite.
Yeah, I had a 3-second cameo because I was at Blues Hog tent when they was doing a presentation for the judges.
Yeah. We were right across from there. So yeah, we were right down the street there.
Yeah, that's when it got me really hooked because I ran across Mark Bayless and he introduced me to Johnny Trigg and my wife was there and he just let me try on the championship ring from 2022 and all that. And after that, I was like, I'm hooked. And
Bayless is the man, dude. I consider him one of my best friends. He's a good dude. I was just with him last week in Orlando.
Yeah, I call him my barbecue dad because it wasn't for him, I wouldn't be as hooked as I am because he was just so friendly to me and my wife. And every time I go out to Memphis in May, I look for him or anywhere else I go.
Yeah, Mark Bayless is awesome.
Yeah, a real good guy. And like I said, I always look for him. What is something that people don't understand when it comes to TV that they might not know about? Any unusual things that y'all have to do or?
Barbecue USA was pretty straightforward. We're cooking a contest, so they had to play around us. Chopped, that's the biggest production I've ever done. There were so many people on set.
Oh wow.
It was bizarre. There was a lot happening. Pitmasters was a lot of fun. I think that's probably the biggest one when you watch that show and you see us open up the cooler and we see the meats. People think that's happening and then we're starting to cook. We're already cooking. It's already cooking and they can bring us back and film that part. As a matter of fact, on our season, they gave us one meat the night before and we were able to start working with it and got there early to start cooking it. And then we filmed the cooler scene. And you'll hear Myron say, "You got 12 hours." We did not cook that long. There's stuff like that. And a lot of people that are on these shows, they'll put a little extra into their character just for TV. But for the most part, you're seeing the people for who they are. I know I try to just be myself, which is enough. I don't think I need to add any more I'm already like, no, that's why I don't drink caffeine. But they're a lot of fun to do. They do a lot for your brand. And that's why I've done them all, is for the brand to help build it and hopefully do more in the future.
Okay. And all the comps, the classes, traveling, family life, how do you balance all that?
My kids are all grown up. My youngest is 21, so they're all adults and living their own lives. And my girlfriend and I, she's a real estate agent and I'm a barbecue person and her kids are all grown up. So we're free to move about the world, baby, and just do our thing. I think I'm at a fortunate time in my life and my small business career where I have that ability to do pretty much whatever I want if I see it works for my business. Yeah.
Yeah, that's what I tell people. I got married 2 years ago and I got a 21-month-old and a 10-year-old. So I was like, right now I'm a father first, so I gotta get them up in age before I get out there competing all over the places. So I'll do my podcast, take a class here and there. You'll see me at a comp walking around, but I'm sorry, I gotta take care here first.
Yeah, unfortunately, I was a wrestling coach and then a barbecue person, and especially in my wrestling coaching years when my kids were little, I was gone a lot, but that was just my career. That was the job path that I chose. And unfortunately, it took me around the country, and I hate all those times that I missed my kids when they were little, but I have 3 wonderful kids. They're all grown adults and doing their thing.
Yeah, it's definitely good. All right, I'm gonna ask you a question. And if you had to pick a all-star team, you and 3 other people to cook a contest, who are you picking and what meats are each person cooking?
Oh, man. I didn't know there was going to be tough questions. If I had to pick an all-star team with me and 3 other people, it would be Sterling Smith. And my reasonings for picking these are both skill level and friend as well. So Sterling Smith from Luton Biddy is one of my best friends. We've taught a lot of classes together all over the world, and our products are made by the same company. We do a lot of things together. We got some stuff coming up. We're doing a brisket and pork competition class in Fargo at Shields, and then we're competing together at the contest there as Ludalicious or Fergin Booty. We couldn't decide barbecue. That's our team name. But he would be on the team. And I think the other two I would pick would probably be Tim Shear and Brad Leininger. And I think I would probably do brisket. Smitty would do chicken. Tim would do pork. And Brad would do ribs.
That's a good team.
That's a good team.
Yeah, that's better than the best ones I heard. All right.
That'd be a good team.
Definitely. All right, I'm going to do something real quick. What I'm going to do is, because I've never did this before, so I'm going to try it out. I'm going to do what we call a teaching and mentorship masterclass, and I'm going to ask you some questions for those that want to get into teaching and stuff like that. So I'm going to ask you different questions to help people that want to get into that field as far as barbecue teaching. All right. What qualifies someone to teach barbecue, do you think?
Man, you're putting me on the spot on that one. This is just my opinion. And I'll preface my answer with this. I felt like I probably started teaching classes a little too early. What I mean by that is I felt like I probably should have been a little bit more accomplished before I started doing that. But I think the reason why I started doing it was because I was a teacher and I just felt comfortable doing it. And I felt like my knowledge base was solid enough that I could do that. Now, I felt like I probably could have had some more wins and accolades under my belt. And if I had to do it over again, I'd probably do that first. I feel like if you're going to teach competition barbecue, I feel like you need to have a lot of contests under your belt and you need to have a lot of wins under your belt. I just feel like if you can develop a winning structure and a winning format, you need to show that you've done that in the trenches over and over again and repeated that before. If I was going to choose somebody to go to, because I've never taken a barbecue class. If I was going to go take a comp class, I would pick somebody that's legitimately accomplished all of those things at a high level. And so if I'm going to pick somebody, that's what I'm going to do. And I feel like teach backyard classes. I don't think you need to have all that, but I think it definitely helps. I think the more experience you have just overall cooking and smoking and grilling and doing all those things, I think they all make you a better teacher and more of an expert, if you will, in this world. And whether that's cooking at home, cooking in contests, they all transfer over. So everything that I've done in comp barbecue, I can transfer that into my backyard. So that's my answer.
Okay. And why is hands-on learning so important?
I don't think it's always important, always needed, but it does help. It's hard to do when you're doing a class with 25 or 30 people in it. To get 25 or 30 knives, and then you got to have more meat. You got to do all those things. It's hard to do. I've done them, and the hands-on ones are hard to do. I think the biggest thing in comp barbecue classes is you're trying to, because you may have people in your class that are accomplished comp barbecue cooks, and they're trying to pick up 2 or 3 little things that are going to take them to the next level. And sometimes I'll have people even tell me that when they come to the class, they're like, hey man, I'm here because I want to learn your brisket. You know what I mean? And they may not even pay attention during the chicken, ribs, and pork. Or sometimes they'll say that, and then all of a sudden I do something in ribs. They're like, oh shit, I've never seen that before. And then they write that down. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
People always ask me, like, am I worried about when I teach classes about the people in my classes beating me? I'm like, no, that's great advertisement. I want them to be successful, but then I will also couple it with this. I can teach you everything I do, but you got to execute it like me. And you can't do that because you're not me. Just if I tried to execute like Tim Shear or Brad Leininger or Sterling Smith, like I just mentioned, I'm not them. You know what I mean? So I do things my way, and I think everybody's got a different skill set, and the way their brain works and the way they react to stress and changes and all those things, those are all factors in comp barbecue. And not everybody can do that at a certain level. So you gotta, I'm going off on a tangent there, man.
Yeah, you fine.
I just think those are very important things.
Definitely. It's very important. Your teaching style, how you communicate with people. Don't
Yeah.
not talking down to people or over their head.
Right. Yeah.
I'd say it all the time. I tell my wife, I try to explain stuff that even a child can understand what I'm talking about. And when you do that, it makes everybody feel included in the class and stuff like that, instead of trying to use big words or the slang of barbecue where people might not know the slang, what you're talking about. And if they don't know what you're saying, okay, this meat is tight. If I don't know what tight is, it's going over my head. So,
Yeah.
yeah.
And try doing that when everybody in the class doesn't speak English.
Oh, wow. I forgot about that.
Try doing that when you have 100 people from Panama and Costa Rica and you're teaching them ribs and chicken, and you got to say something, and then your translator translates, and you say the next thing, and it's even tougher. It's even tougher.
Wow. I forgot about the language barrier.
Yeah.
Oh, wow. It's crazy. All right. I got 2 quick games I'm going to play with you and get you out of here. In college basketball, they got a tournament bracket. I made a tournament bracket of 16 meats that you cook on the grill, and I'm going to tell you each matchup. Just tell me which one you prefer to eat, and we'll see which one is the winner. All right. First matchup, hamburger versus steak.
Which one I prefer to eat?
Yes.
Whoa. I'll probably steak.
Okay. Next matchup is pork ribs versus pork belly.
Ribs.
Okay. Next matchup is hot dog versus smoked chicken.
Hot dog.
Okay. Next matchup, burnt ends versus pork chops.
Burnt ends.
Okay. Next matchup, smoked turkey versus sausage.
Oh. I'll go with the turkey. I love both of those, though.
All right. Smoked ham versus barbecue shrimp.
Ham or shrimp.
Okay. Lamb versus brisket.
Brisket.
Okay. Beef ribs versus smoked bologna.
Oh. Probably bologna.
Okay. And next round, steak versus pork ribs.
Steak.
Okay. And hot dog versus burnt ends.
Burnt ends.
Okay. Turkey versus shrimp.
Turkey.
Okay. Brisket versus bologna.
Brisket.
Okay. Final 4. You got steak versus burnt ends.
Steak.
Okay. And turkey versus brisket.
Turkey.
Okay. And finals, you got steak versus turkey.
I'm probably going to go with turkey.
Okay. All right. Turkey is the winner. All right. Are you a Chiefs fan? Is you up in Kansas City? Okay. All right. I did a special, another bracket for you, a special one of the top 16 Chiefs players in history. I got them matched up randomly. Just tell me which one you prefer. All right. First matchup, Derek Thomas versus Alex Smith.
DT.
All right. Next matchup, Christian Okoye versus Marcus Allen.
Okoye.
Okay. Will Smith versus Travis Kelce.
Travis Kelce.
Okay. Jamal Charles versus Eric Berry.
Eric Berry.
Okay. Tony Gonzalez versus Dante Hall.
Tony.
Okay. Priest Holmes versus Tyreek Hill. Okay. Patrick Mahomes versus Joe Montana.
Mahomes.
All right. And Tamba Hali versus Derek Johnson.
Tamba.
Okay. Next matchup is Derek Thomas versus Christian Okoye.
Derek Thomas.
Okay. Travis Kelce versus Eric Berry.
Kelce.
All right. Tony Gonzalez versus Priest Holmes.
Tony Gonzalez.
Okay. Patrick Mahomes versus Tamba.
Patrick Mahomes.
All right. Final 4. Derek Thomas versus Kelce.
Kelce.
Okay. And Tony Gonzalez versus Mahomes.
Mahomes.
All right. We know what the final answer is. Just fun getting there. All right, your therapy session is over. If you got anything that you want to promote, give your website and all that, you can do that at this time.
Yeah. Just thanks for having me on the show. I really appreciate the support and the love for barbecue. And I'm at fergolicious.bbq.com or richardfergolabbq.com, Instagram, Facebook, TikTok. You can check me out on any of those social media outlets, and you can see where all my classes are at, new products coming out, where you can get the products, all of those kind of things at all my social media. So any of those things, you can find me right there. And I'm getting ready to pop a schedule out to find out where I'm going to be at in your country or in ours.
All right. Feel free to come to Georgia.
I'll be there in May. I'll be there in May.
All right. But I definitely appreciate you coming on, because I was like, man, his schedule is super busy. He'd be everywhere. I don't think he'll have time to come on, but he definitely reached right back out. And I was like, the people I think that wouldn't come on, the people that show up, and the people I think that would be able to come on, I'd be like, okay.
Truth be told, when you sent me the email, we were in Cancun, Mexico. I was on vacation, and I was actually sitting by the pool enjoying a beverage, and I got your message. But dude, that's just me. I try to respond to everybody that reaches out to me. I may not even know who you are, and they're asking me a barbecue question, and I try to respond to everybody that I can. Sometimes it's hard to keep up, and I've done tons of these shows and podcasts. I love the love, and I appreciate it very much.
All right, no problem, no problem. And I definitely appreciate you taking your time and coming out and telling your story and stuff like that, and helping everybody as far as what you do, as far as the teaching, as far as the just competing period, and just being out there and welcoming and stuff like that, and going all over the country. Like I told you before we came on, it means a lot to people that you go all to these different places and make people feel welcomed and feel wanted in the barbecue community, because that's what it's all about, just community and growing the community and making it bigger, and not trying to, hey, I've been on TV, or I did this and I don't have time for you. No, we got time for
That's
everybody.
not me at all.
We got time for everybody.
I try to talk to every person I can. I'll take every picture I can. It's my job is, I consider myself like a barbecue soldier. I'm out here to try to impact the world with barbecue. And if this is the way I've been put out here to do it, I'm going to do it to the best of my ability. I love everybody, and I'm just out here to have a good time and spread the word.
Yeah, and I definitely thank you for my position of what you're doing out there, because it's definitely helping. And I notice, and I'm watching all you're doing, and it's very impressive. And it's inspired me, because I told my wife, I want to teach classes when I get to a certain point, and once I get to do it, I'm going to come pick your brain and all that
Yeah,
stuff on
absolutely.
how to do it and get better at it, because everybody don't know everything. So we definitely got to pull from each other and get advice.
Absolutely. I'm always here, man. I'm a message away. I'm not hard to find.
And on that note, we'll see everybody next episode. I built something onto my podcast that every barbecue brand should be a part of. It's called the BBQ Therapy Smoke Showdown Bracket. 16 meats you cook on the grill go head to head, and every guest picks their winner. It's one of the most engaging parts of the show. Every guest plays, and every listener loves it, because no two brackets are the same. Now I'm opening it up for a presenting sponsor, meaning your brand becomes part of the segment every single show. This isn't just an ad, this becomes part of the show. And if you're interested, reach out to Tavis Bryant at BBQ Therapy Podcast at gmail.com. Thank you. Thank you for joining us for another therapy session. And remember, like, follow, and subscribe to help the barbecue therapy community. And also visit our website at www.bbqtherapypodcast.com.